So Tottenham want Eze. Eze apparently keen on the move. So what about Arsenal? Have we moved on? Do we not want him? Is there no more interest seriously in Eze? Or is it all just paper talk? Look, all I know is Arsenal should be all over Eberechi Eze, and that is the player that I think will help Arsenal try and break down low blocks, try and add some creativity, give us some flair and spark and excitement, and allow himself to express his quality. We've seen what he's done at Palace. We've seen what he does in big games. There's no denying that Eze would be a phenomenal signing for both Tottenham and Arsenal. But you cannot tell me that Tottenham Hotspur have a more likely chance of getting Eze over Arsenal. That just shouldn't be happening. Now, I understand why they want him. They need a number 10. Kudus has come in, but really and truly, Maddison and Kulusevski are way too injury prone at the moment for them to start the season just with Kudus in the middle. Maybe they have to play Brennan Johnson or Tell or Odegaard wide, but either way, I don't care about that. All I care about is Eze to Arsenal. Now, I understand that he's probably going to play more games at Spurs, but right now, you can't tell me that Eze is not going to get in the team ahead of Martinelli or Madueke. Now, I know he's not a left winger, and I appreciate he probably wants to play more centrally. But there's definitely opportunities for him to play a lot of games at Arsenal this season with 4 competitions, with Odegaard in poor form, with Declan Rice and Zubimendi looking like they're going to utilise them more deeper to this season. I think Eze off the left, off the right, and in the attacking 10 or attacking 8 role would be a great signing. Now, you can't tell me he wouldn't be interested because he's already said he wants Arsenal. Apparently, if the rumours are to be believed and the reliable sources have suggested that Eze wants Arsenal, Arsenal want Eze, Palace have said, fine, this is the release clause. And it does sound like there's some rumours suggesting the release clause could now have expired. Now, I don't think Arsenal would let that release clause expire if they believed that they couldn't get him without the release clause being there. So for me, I think that being now expired, if that is true, it was 68 million. Do Crystal Palace now have to say, well, we're not going to get 68 for him, so we might as well accept lower? Or do Crystal Palace say, no, we now want 80 because there's no release clause? That is the way that I think Crystal Palace might go. Now, if this is going to cost near to 70 or 80 million, I don't think Tottenham or Arsenal will get him. I think he'll stay at Palace. I just don't think that Tottenham and Arsenal will justify paying that much money on top of what they've already spent. But I will say this. I think once the player starts to make suggestions that he wants out of Palace, which I think are suggesting that he does want to have a new challenge. At the age of 26, 27, he's at his absolute prime. He's probably got one big move left in him. I think it's time. And if he was to go to Tottenham, it means Arsenal just simply didn't want him. I've got to be honest with you. You know, a lot of people said that Arsenal wanted Isak, but we moved for Gyökeres. It means that Isak going to Liverpool means Arsenal didn't want him. It doesn't mean that he rejected Arsenal for Liverpool because Arsenal were never in for him, right? And I think it could be a similar scenario if Eze was to go to Spurs because it would mean that Arsenal have just pulled out and they're not interested now. Now, I'd find that crazy and I'd find it hard to believe because at the moment, the transfer window is nowhere near good enough for Arsenal, even with Victor Gyökeres. We've got our goalkeeper, which is great. We've got our defender, which is great. We've got our backup midfielder, which is great. We've got our starting midfielder in Zubimendi, who looks brilliant for us. We've got our backup of Saka or Martinelli, if you look at Madueke playing right and left. But that's not enough. Victor Gyökeres coming in has made our window a 6.5 out of 10. At the moment, we need to take it to a 7.5 or an 8 by signing the likes of Eze. What we need to then do is go and get that left winger, which we all hope and pray is Rodrigo, but it looks like that could be favoured towards Man City now. So I hope this window doesn't end badly for Arsenal because it started off to be a little bit slow. We got the signing across the line for our striker we all wanted as a fan base. Now I think it's about player sales before it's any more coming in, and we can't sell our players. We're struggling to get any money for Lokonga. It doesn't sound like there's any interest for Zinchenko that's of any suitable deal in terms of a fee. It doesn't sound like Gabriel Jesus is going. Trossard, there's doubts about where he goes. Fabi Vieira, there's been rumours, but nothing set in stone yet. And Reece Nelson is being offered on loan again. That's 6 players that I think Arsenal need to get rid of. Jacob Kivior has been kind of touted with a move away, but I think he'll end up staying because I just don't think there's a defender that we're bringing in of that quality in terms of backup for Gabriel. So I've got to be honest with you. I think there's 5 or 6 sales that Arsenal need to do now in order to go and try to get their last 2 signings that everyone wants across the line, which is, I think, Eze and a winger. Right? Rafael Leao, Lookman, Rodrigo. Look, some people don't want them. Some people don't think they're possible to get. But I think we're going to need to look at that. I think we are. Now, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we do end up with Eze. It would surprise me if he goes to Spurs because I truly do believe that Arsenal are interested. And I think it would be madness to say Palace want too much, let him go to Tottenham. I think it would be a stupid thing to do. And I've got to be honest, it doesn't worry me because of what the links are to Tottenham, because a lot of clubs can be interested in a player. What would worry me is if Eze says, I want to go to Tottenham. Now, apparently he's keen on the move. That doesn't mean he wants to go to Tottenham. It means he's keen to move, in my opinion. I don't think it means that he's keen to go to Spurs and nobody else can come in for him because it's only Tottenham he's got his heart set on for. Tottenham have been very, very visibly interested in Eze for quite some time now. And it does sound as if there's serious interest from Tottenham's perspective. I think with Eze, what we have to look at and be aware of is that he's at Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are quite happy with the player. I don't think he's kicking off. I don't think it's going to get nasty. I'd rather keep it that way. Now, if we go to Fabrizio Romano's tweet that he literally put out only a few hours ago, he says that we understand that Tottenham are also back in talks for Eze in a separate deal from Savio or Savinho. Spurs are trying again for Eze while they work on Savinho following Maddison's injury and Son's exit. Eze keen, but the deal depends on Palace as the release clause has expired. So let's break that down a little bit, shall we? Basically, Tottenham are interested in Eze again. They already were interested, but they believe they couldn't get him. With Kulusevski's injury on top of Maddison's ACL, they're now looking at that position saying we are short. Eze would be a phenomenal signing for Spurs or Arsenal. Let me make that clear. They are going all out for Savio, who I think will be starting on the left wing for them. I think Kudus is their right winger. They want Eze as their 10 and Savio as their left. And if I'm honest with you, I've done my Premier League predictions and I've actually put Tottenham in a very respectable place. I think they could easily cement that position if they was to get these three players across the line, because Kudus, Savio and Eze is a serious front line. I know Solanke's not massively rated by some, but he can score goals. And with those three behind him, you'd like to fancy your chances that he's going to get a few more this season. I think it would be a phenomenal signing. I'm worried that if they did get him, that would be a very bad look for Arsenal. It would clearly mean he hasn't chosen Spurs over Arsenal. It would mean that Arsenal just weren't interested. They didn't want him. And I would question why. Obviously, he said that Eze's keen. Well, Eze's keen on a move away from Palace, it seems. He wants a new challenge. Obviously, Tottenham and Arsenal are bigger moves for him than Crystal Palace. Albeit Tottenham were a shambles last season, I do think this season they'll improve. And Arsenal are going for a title and a Champions League and a domestic cup. So Eze's going to look at that and think he's got more chance of winning trophies there because we're going to be competing in bigger and better competitions. Having said that, I don't think it would be bad if Palace were to keep him. I don't think it would be bad for Eze either. I think they're a good side. I actually think they're going to win or potentially win a trophy next season again in the Conference League. So I think they've got a good chance there. I just want to see Eze in an Arsenal shirt because I think it suits. I can see him with the number 10 on now. I think he'd be a brilliant signing. And I understand what people are saying. Why would you want him when you've got Max Dowman and Ethan? Max is 15. Ethan is 18. They have got a hell of a long way to go before they're going to be complaining about not getting enough minutes. Max Dowman can't be expected at 15 to come in and play every game. Ethan Nwaneri is breaking through. At 17 last season, he got 10 goals. That is not usual. He is clearly an unbelievable footballer. He will get minutes, whether it be from the right, from centrally. We've seen him in pre-season playing centrally. Eze, for me, comes in and 100% provides competition. Definitely could start in this Arsenal side right now, ahead of Martinelli or Odegaard. And what would be even more crazy for me is if we were to lose out to Eze and just say, we don't want you anymore. What does that do for the Madueke signing? It's confusing. £52 million on Madueke, but we're trying to haggle down Eze's fee. Surely it should be the other way around, right? Surely we should have gone and lumped the money down on Eze and tried to negotiate a fee with Madueke. That's the way around I would have liked to have seen it. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the little glimpses I've seen of Madueke. I don't think he's been outstanding. I don't think he's been beating his man like everyone thought he was going to all the time. He's certainly been no worse than Martinelli. In fact, I think he's been better because Martinelli's had a stinker of a pre-season and Trossard's been injured for the last few games. But I've got to be honest, I would find it very strange if there was to be a potential for Eze to move on and Arsenal not to go for a player in that position. Now, maybe And there could be this as a serious scenario. Maybe Arsenal have looked in pre-season and thought the two better players are Ethan Nwaneri and Max Dowman, and they're going to play much more minutes than people expect. And that's why we're not going for Reze and we're going all out for one more left winger. Trossard will go, left winger comes in. You've got your left winger and Martinelli. You've got Odegaard and Nwaneri. You've got Saka, Madueke and Max Dowman. It could be that. But I just think that would be very much taking a risk of let's just keep things how they are. I think we need to show a statement and ambition to say, yeah, we've got a brilliant attack, but we ain't ready. We ain't stopping. We ain't stopping there. We ain't done. Eze's coming in on top of left winger, whether it's Lookman, Leao, Mitoma, Gordon, Rodrigo, whatever it be. I think that's what Arsenal need to show the world now. That you might not think we're ready, but we're on the same page. We ain't. But now we are. Boom, boom. Eze, Rodrigo. Then a lot of the teams around us will be going, wow. Now, I wanted to touch and lastly on Rodrigo. It does look like Manchester City are favourites to get him. They look to have sold McAtee to Forest. Jake Grealish has gone to Everton. Obviously, Savio looks like he's going to Spurs. They're clearing out ready for a big signing. They're not clearing out ready for Semenyo to come in. They're clearing out for Rodrigo big time. And I think that at the moment, they're probably favourites to get him. I don't know if he wants to leave Real Madrid, but I'll say this about Arsenal. Go and show ambition. Go and lump down 100 million euros to Real Madrid. Go and do what we did with Declan Rice. They were interested in Rice. We're interested in Rodrigo if you're interested in Rodrigo. We got Rice over City. Why can't we get Rodrigo over City? If he chooses Manchester City and Arsenal have gone out to get him, fair play. But Andrea Berta, I need you to work on this one. I need you to go and have a chat with him and say, I think Man City are interested, but you want us, right? You're going to be playing left wing. You're going to be in a front line with Rodrigo, Saka and Gyökeres. That's the front three we're looking at. And you're a part of that. We've got Eze coming in with Odegaard to feed you and to show creativity. We've still got Martinelli there, your friend from Brazil. We've still got Zubimendi and Rice that are going to do all the defensive work, so don't worry about it. You're a part of our attack. You're going to score goals, as is Gyökeres, as is Saka. That's what I want to be telling him. That's what I want to be selling him. You're the missing piece. You and Victor Gyökeres and Eze are the three missing pieces to the puzzle to go and win major trophies and major honours with Arsenal. Now, even if you don't believe that, you've got to sell that project to him, right? That's where I'm at. So it's going to be interesting for me, without a doubt, to see what happens with Rodrigo. I think Rafael Leao is someone we've been linked with. Gone quiet, but maybe, possibility. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Lookman, who sounds like he wants to stay in Italy, and Gordon at Newcastle, who's going to cost a lot of money, who I'm not really too sure on. So the left wing position at Arsenal is going to be key. Now, a lot of people might be screaming, going, you're deluded. You think you're getting anyone after Eze? I think we need to. I think we need to. Because the left side does not look right. And Eze's not a left winger. So if Eze comes in, it's not to be playing left wing. He might play there and start there, and maybe he'll come on there sometimes. But he is not a left winger. He does a lot of good work from the left. But that's in the kind of attacking 8 role or the attacking 10 role. He comes inside and he delivers. He punishes. And that's why I want him. I think he can help create a lot of chances. I think he can help us with beating low blocks. I think he's got that little bit of individual technical ability about him. He's got that little bit of flair. He's got that excitement. I think fans will love him. I think he'll be a fan's favourite. He's an Arsenal fan. Used to play for Arsenal until 12. I think this would make sense for him to come home. So Eze and Rodrigo are the last two pieces of the puzzle for Arsenal's window to be, let's be real, an 8.5, 9 out of 10. We get those two. Let's be real. We've covered every position. We don't need anybody else. We've got our 2 keepers. We've got our 2 right backs. We've got our 2 left backs and 4 centre halves. We've definitely got enough in midfield now with holding midfielders. Maybe a number 8, but Rice, if he's going to drop deeper, we might not need the 8 as much. Marino's still there. We've got Odegaard. We've got Ethan. We would have had Eze. Then we've got our 2 left wingers, 2 right wingers, and our 3 forwards. That right now is good enough to go and win trophies. So that's what we've got to do. Go and deliver. Big up to everyone that's here. Hit like, hit subscribe. Big up for 50k. Make sure you're hitting the QR code and scanning Match Bingo. And you've got that app downloaded. The season's amongst us to go win some money. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, people. We're out of here.